What is up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. Today is an exciting day because we're actually going to start working on pulling the engine out of the car. We got some packages in, so we've got to get a couple of things done before we can start working on getting that out of the car. I did go shopping and buy all the tools that I was missing and needed to get this project done. And we got this in the mail yesterday. That needs to be assembled, but that is the engine stand that we're going to be using to work on the engine. I also got the rest of the parts for the cold air intake. They came in, as well as the new stereo for the car, so we've got lots of work to be done. Not really waiting on, we're waiting on 2 packages still, but I'm not quite ready to use those yet, so we're good to go start working. I'm still waiting on the intercooler for the supercharger, and I'm still waiting on the piston rings that we need once we start getting around to reassembling the engine. But first we've got to get the engine out, taken apart, and cleaned. So before we can go ahead and get started on all of that, we have quite the mess to clean up. This place is a disaster. So we are going to go ahead and work on cleaning up the shop, getting everything organized. We're going to put together the engine stand. I want to take all of these parts that I have here that came off of the top of the engine and out of the engine bay. I want to take all these and I want to get them put, I'm probably going to put them in one of these boxes. We're going to put those all in a box and get them set off to the side. That way we can go ahead and start getting those cleaned up, and then I have use of that table. So when I start disassembling the engine, I have a place to put all of the parts. So I'm going to go ahead and just start cleaning everything, making sure all the bolts I have laying around get put in the right bags and labeled for where they go. We're going to get underneath the car, get that last bolt out of the bell housing, make sure everything is disconnected from the engine stand or from the engine, undo the engine mounts, get it bolted up to the stand. I'm probably going to have to lower the car down a little bit because it's up kind of high right now. So if we get the jack under there, get the car dropped down just a little bit more than what it's at right now, and then we're going to go ahead and get the engine pulled out, get it put on the engine stand, and we're going to start tearing it down. So stay tuned, guys. Let's get started. so we got everything cleaned up over there. Got the table ready to go, so I've got space to put parts from the engine. I stuck all of the other parts in this box down here along the side of the car. That'll get moved outside later at some point when we get ready to start cleaning things. We got the engine stand built, ready to go. It's all folded up nice. That's what I like about both these units, is they fold up, so when I'm not using them, they don't have to take up a ton of space. So I'm taking a quick break for lunch, and then we're going to jump right back into it. We're going to go ahead and start getting the last couple of bolts that are holding the engine in place, and then we're going to try to get this thing yanked out of here today. So I'll be right back. So I'm exhausted. That was my first time ever pulling an engine, and you probably saw me struggle a little bit there trying to get it on the engine stand. But it is out of the car, on the engine stand. Looks good. I realized after I pulled it off, I had to call my dad, who knows a lot more about cars than I do, and realized that I probably should have loosened the bolt on the torque converter before pulling the engine, and that would have made things a lot better. Just left the torque converter on the transmission, but I didn't do that. But now the torque converter and the flywheel are off, and we're ready to start tearing down the engine. I did also find one more thing out that I didn't realize was going to be an issue, but the motor mounts needed to be replaced. So we're going to be replacing those since the engine's out. So let me show you here. This is just crumbled away and broken. It's dead. This side here is just barely hanging on. Like that's not supposed to be like that. So definitely going to need some new motor mounts. Other than that, I didn't run into any more unexpected issues. I got everything off. The two hard lines on the transmission that I was talking about in the last video, those were not necessarily connected to the motor. They were kind of mounted. You can see these here. They had these little clips holding them onto the motor, but it was these two lines here, and those are the lines for the transmission to cool itself, for the transmission cooler. And I believe those just connect into the radiator. So, but I got those disconnected, got the last bolt out of the bell housing, and then we went ahead and unbolted the motor mounts, which was super easy, and then as we pulled it out, they fell apart. And the engine's out and ready to go. It's a lot of work, but now we're ready to go ahead and start tearing it apart. So I'm going to take a break, drink some water, try to relax a little bit because I'm definitely dehydrated. That was a lot of effort, and it's like 99 degrees outside today. So I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to jump into starting to probably try to tear apart the front side of this block, get like the power steering, the AC condenser, try to get the timing cover off if I can. Once I get the timing cover off, then I can go ahead and get that timing chain loosened up. We can pull the camshafts and everything out, and then we can start working on getting the heads removed. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Alright, so I think that's going to be it for this video. We got a lot done. As you can see, the engine is out of the car. We've made some progress, but I ran into a bit of a roadblock. There's two things we need to take care of in the next video. The first thing is this harmonic balancer. I do not have a socket that big in my toolbox anywhere. The only thing I have that'll go that big is the new adjustable wrench that I bought, and there's no way to get it in at the right angle to try to get that out. So I need to get a socket for that. The next issue that we have is actually on the back here. I don't know how well we're going to be able to see this. So I have these mounted in here on the engine stand. I need to reposition all of these mounts on the engine stand up into these holes. So these ones will go here, and the bottom ones will go where these ones are. Reason being is this whole bottom pan comes off the engine, and that's what I have this bolted into. So I can't have this part of the block bolted to the stand. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to get access to the actual underside of the block to break the pistons loose and all that stuff. So the next step is going to be, I don't have to worry about that exactly right away, because the next step is to take off the harmonic balancer, and then we can go ahead and pull the whole timing cover off. There's this one last bolt holding it in right here. Once I pull this off, I can pull the whole cover off. That'll allow me to get the timing chain off so we can get the camshafts out of the way, and then I can go ahead and bolt the heads. And that'll be a good story right there to see how much damage there may or may not be on the inside of the block. So we're going to go ahead and get the heads pulled as soon as we can. And then once we've gotten that far, what I'll do is I'll probably bring the engine hoist back out, have to open the garage door again, head outside, pick up the engine again, take it off the engine stand, reposition all those bolts, and put it all back together so that we can go ahead and take that bottom part off and continue the disassembly. But so far we've got quite a bit off. We took off the water pump, AC compressor, power steering, the oil pan, both the exhaust manifolds, the torque converter, and the flywheel are out. As well as one of these idler pulleys. Most of the spark plugs, I think I have 3 spark plugs in a box somewhere, but I got the rest of the spark plugs out. And then the terrible lighting down here. This is what's left of the motor mounts. So they definitely need to be replaced. So we've got all that done. So I think next video we're going to work on getting the tool to get that harmonic balancer taken off. Once we get that off, get the timing cover off, I can go ahead and get that timing chain off, get the heads off, start taking a look at what's really going on inside the block. And then I'm also going to, hopefully in the next video, finish taking apart the supercharger. I did get the tools I needed for that to go ahead and remove the pulley. I got my snap ring pliers and everything. So we're going to go ahead and pull that apart the rest of the way, see what's going on inside there, start getting that cleaned up as well. And I'm pretty sure I have all the parts in that I need now. There's a few little things I'm probably going to need for the block. I know there's some rubber seals I don't think I have. Piston rings still haven't showed up yet. Not sure what's going on with those. But I did get the intercoolers in. I have all the gaskets and everything. I have all the pieces for the cold air intake have showed up now. So we can get that put together. And I need to look at getting some pieces for the supercharger, like a seal and a couple of things to get that put back together right. So that's going to be it for this video. If you guys like what you're watching, go ahead and click the subscribe button. There will definitely be more content coming out. The build's starting to get really exciting. We're starting to tear down and see what all is damaged in this car so we can go ahead and put this back together the right way, get back on the streets and start racing. See you guys next time.